box 4465 at the intersection of Masonic and Oak.
A2 Battalion 5 on the scene. We got a 3-story Type 5 building with heavy smoke pumping from the third floor window. This is a working fire. Go ahead and put Masonic Street Command in service.
You are listening to the Roll Call Podcast, featuring active and retired members of the San Francisco Fire Department, sharing our stories from the field, general knowledge, and training tips to ensure each member goes home safely.
Roll call.
Welcome to the inaugural episode of San Francisco Fire Department's Roll Call Podcast. I'm your host for today's episode, Lieutenant Mariano Elias. This podcast is to share general knowledge and experiences of both active and retired San Francisco firefighters. We're fortunate enough to have today's first guest, Fire Chief Dean Crispen. Morning, Chief.
Good morning.
And we're also honored to have retired Deputy Chief of Operation, Vic Wyrsch. How you doing?
Thanks for having me.
And along with us three is retired Lieutenant Kevin Salas. How you doing?
Doing well. Good morning.
Thanks for coming. Chief, do you mind giving us a brief history on how your career in the fire department began?
Sure. I was fortunate enough to have a father that was a member of this department, Richard Crispen, 30-year member of the department, retired as the captain of the arson squad. In my youth, I had an interest in accounting. I was going to school to be an accountant. He moved me in the direction of taking the fire department test. Thank goodness. Took the test and was hired July 23rd, 1990. Did return to get my accounting degree, which has been helpful in this new position. When I started this job, I really learned to earn a lot of respect for the members of this department that just remain firefighters for their entire career. Were comfortable in their shoes, extremely competent in their jobs. But as I progressed in my years in the department, once I had about 10 or 12 years in, I started realizing that I'd gained some knowledge, and people were listening to what I had to say at drills and other exercises, and I thought maybe I had something to offer in the promotional realm. Started moving my way up through the ranks. Ended up as a battalion chief at Station 36, Battalion 2, Hazmat. And then I was offered an interview by the mayor and was promoted to the chief of department in January of this year. So now we're going on 7 months in our administration. I think things are going really well. We have a great team, and we look forward to serving the city.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
Lieutenant Salas, let's switch over to you. How about yourself? What's been your career path in the San Francisco Fire Department?
Let's see. I was hired September 11th, 1995. Came in the department, did my probationary year. The very next year, through a fluke, I made Engine 1 downtown. And I stayed there for basically 25 years. Couple detours to 36 for 6 months and radio for a year and a half. But I spent most of my time downtown working at Engine 1. Then I went over to the truck for about 6 years. Then I went to the rescue squad for 8 years. They're all housed together at Station 1. And then the final 2 years of my career, I promoted. Basically, I went out day to day for a year, many different firehouses. And then the very last year of my job was Station 51 in the Presidio, Lieutenant of Engine.
So similar to what the chief said, you did a lot of time as a firefighter at Station 1.
I did it. Enjoyed that time, learned a lot, worked with a lot of great guys. Loved that job. Yeah, it was fantastic.
And Chief Wyrsch, can you tell us about your start and where you worked, what positions you had, and how many years did you serve the residents of San Francisco?
Yeah, I came in 1989, class of 76. I floated around between basically mostly 1 and 3 for my first 10 years. I was a firefighter and then became a lieutenant and was lucky enough to get to stay around in that area. So I worked 1, 3, and 36 most of my career. And then just about 30 years in, I got a call from the chief at the time, and she had asked me if I wanted to be CD2 and kind of struggled with it. It wasn't something that I wanted to do, but my mother had just recently passed away, and on her deathbed, she goes, "Vic, you're going to be CD 1, 2, or 3. I go, "Not a chance in the world, Mom. That's political." She goes, "No, it's going to happen." So that night, my girlfriend reminded me. She's like, "Well, remember what your mom said." So I ended up taking the job, and I did that for the last year and a half.
And what for the listeners we have today, just to give an idea, Stations 1, 3, and 36 are historically known as the busier companies in downtown area, also referred to in the department as the Iron Triangle. So very happy to have you all here, which is a lot of experience. Thank you for that. But Chief, many of our listeners may not know this, but you have left a legacy here at the SFFD. You know what I'm referring to?
No. Which chief you talking to? Me?
Chief Wyrsch, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Okay, well, it just so happens to be the rumor that your voice is the sound of box.
Yeah.
When we get a dispatch for a box, this was a box alarm, it's your voice. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually did a stupid thing, went helicopter skiing and got in a bad, horrible accident. So they put me light duty for a little while, helping with the fire alert system. So I did that for until I was able to come back to full duty. So I was helping when the Jesus Mora was doing a fantastic job, and he asked me to use my voice. But I thought it was very important for that box to be something that was heard, because that's the one thing that just fires you up when you hear that word box. Everybody jumps up, whether, if there's 3 rigs in the house, you all get up and start running towards the pole hole. So I think it's kind of an inspirational thing. So did a few takes on that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you give our listeners a sample? Which one time? Yeah, we're going to play it for them too. The actual.
It sounds the same. Box 1, 4, 3, 2.
Box.
All right, and for our listeners, thank you, Chief, who are listening today. The box numbers are referring to our fire alarm boxes that we've had across town for many years. Many departments have gotten rid of them. We had them for quite a bit of time, and the fire alarm box number is the closest box to the physical address of the house or building that's reported to be on fire. Thanks, Chief, for sharing that. Little known fact. Good. So it seems like all you guys worked together for some time at Station 1, and you know each other real well. I know that one of the incidents that you 3 responded to together was on your own dime, taking a trip to New York City for Ground Zero after September 11th in the aftermath of the attacks on the World Trade Center. With it being September coming up now, we're going on the 24th anniversary of that horrendous day. I'd like to learn what sparked the response from you guys, and how did you all think of the idea to do this by yourselves? Steve?
Sure. So I was in bed, awakened by a phone call from my father-in-law saying, turn on the TV. So my wife and I went to the television and turned it on, and saw the horrific events unfolding, and literally watched it with our jaws to the ground. Range of emotions. But to be perfectly honest with you, one of the first things I thought is, we're going. And my first call was to Vic. And it was decided right there, we're going. I had connections to New York through playing handball, staying at the New York Athletic Club. Some of the other folks we kind of assembled as our team had connections with some of the personnel in the New York Fire Department. But just watching that unfold through the range of emotions that I was going through, the overarching message to me was, a lot of us had been engaged in some USAR training and things like that. We felt we could be helpful, and we were going.
I think part of the reason, too, was we'd all marched in the St. Patrick's Day Parade with all the New York guys, so we knew a lot of them, had a lot of contacts. So I don't think any of us went there thinking we were going to be involved in any kind of search or anything like that. I think we just wanted to help. We've lost 1 firefighter, sometimes 2 here, but they lost 343. And I think it just hit us so hard that we just wanted to help. We were thinking we're going to cook for the guys or wash the rigs or clean the or something like that. We didn't expect to be put to work. We just wanted to help, and our hearts went out there. We didn't really go there necessarily to respond in our heads. So that just is something that just kind of happened.
Yeah, so you're basically just trying to offer whatever you could to the members there.
Pump water, like I said, clean the toilets, just relieve somebody in some way, take guys out, go drinking with them, whatever it was. We didn't necessarily, we were prepared. We packed. Everybody says, well, we'll throw our turnouts and our dress blues and jeans and a T-shirt and whatever they want. If they turn around and say they don't want us, we'll come home. But it ended up, things just kind of fell into place, and in a series of events I'm sure we'll get to.
And let's finish off with you, Kevin. What were you at, and your idea behind it too?
So I was a member of One Engine downtown, and I was serving an extended detail at the 911 center, just recently opened and was staffed by fire department personnel. So I was working days there. I worked a night shift the night before, came home, heard it on the radio. My first thought was, I gotta get downtown to the house, see what those guys are doing. I want to be involved in whatever happens. Spent the first 12 hours of that day at Station 1, and right away, guys were talking about how are we going to get out there and help. Like, in my mind, we were going to do whatever it took. On that first day, we're going to search, we're going to do whatever. The news coming in was kind of confusing. A lot of people in town were worried about the Golden Gate Bridge, bombs going off down here, but it seemed to a few of us pretty clear, like this was going to be something just in New York. Getting over there was going to be a real challenge. I mean, driving's going to take 3 days or, 18 hours straight. We had guys talking about some renting a Winnebago. All kinds of ideas were coming out. The Panama Canal. We'll get on a boat and we'll, and
row over there.
Yeah, seriously, man. I mean, the energy of the firehouse was like, let's go. This is something for us. We're going to be involved in this. And started making phone calls, got a hold of the airlines. Of course, you remember the airlines were all shut down, right? Grounded flights all over the country. Some people were stuck in cities, couldn't get home. So that didn't look like a possibility. Kind of day one, day two goes by, and I got a hold of United Airlines. I go, hey, listen, this is our story. We got firemen. We really didn't know how many guys were going to be able to go. Some guys were married. Some guys had kids. There was a lot of issues. And they go, hey, the first flight we're booking is, it was midnight on Friday. Towers fell on Tuesday. Give me 15 tickets on that flight. It was okay. So having that basis, like, hey, we're going. We got a flight. This is probably day 2, day 3 into it. Guys, who's going to go? Or can you go? Can you go? And I'm definitely going. I gotta think about it. I got kids. Is something going to happen here? Then, of course, Dean came up with the connection. We could get there, but what are we going to do when we're there? The first option was to bring sleeping bags. We'll sleep on the firehouse floor. Closest firehouse. Dean goes, I got it, man. Somebody's hooking us up with rooms. New York Athletic Club. It's uptown, a little far away, but we got a place to hang our hat. Shower up. Okay, man, it's starting to look good. So, and for me personally, and this is something I like to reiterate to people when I talk about that day, is like, I thought San Francisco had to do something. I thought it was imperative that San Francisco, California sent people to New York City. I knew a little bit about the 1906 earthquake. It's an incident that established the reputation of this fire department. This is a place where we experienced one of the largest natural disasters in America, up to that time and even since. And I knew from a little bit of reading I had done that people responded here. Chile, the country of Chile, Argentina, cities across America, money poured in, people poured in, right? Because that was a civilian incident. 3,000 people in New York, civilians got killed. There was firemen too, but there was attack on our soil. Hadn't happened, since Pearl Harbor. 1941, an island, 600 miles off the coast of California. This was on, American soil, our biggest city.
Right.
And like Victor said, we'd all been there for a couple of trips to march in the St. Patrick's Day parade. The fire department in New York leads off that parade. Sense of pride, sense of community. When you go out there for that, it's unreal. The people are 30 deep on the sidewalks for, 2 mile parade route. It's unbelievable. And these guys, when we came out there, they set us up. They brought us in. Hey, you guys are with us. San Francisco, yeah, you guys can march with us. Class A uniforms, you guys remember that, of the pride you felt walking down the street, people cheering for you. It was unbelievable. So for me personally, I thought the city of San Francisco had to do something. And there was a little bit of pushback from downtown at the time. And Dean reminded me of this the other day, that when he got it inaugurated, we were talking for a minute, and he goes, remember we were in Hanno's bar on 5th Street, and we were talking about, we were meeting, what are we going to do? And he goes, I remember just looking at you, man, in our eyes. I go, we're going. I go, yeah, we're going, and you guys remember that, man? Like, that once we had the tickets in the place, I think we were like ready to go.
What about at home here? You said, Chief, that you were at home. Were either you guys working in the firehouse when it happened?
I was actually, they like said, they put me up at the assignment office for a year and a half after I became a lieutenant. So that was weird. I was driving in to work, and I never listen to the news on the TV. I'm on the radio. Never. I always have music on. Some just had me turn on the radio, and I was listening to it, and it actually happened because we get into the assignment office so early. I heard the whole thing live. It was unbelievable, So came into the assignment office and dug up the old TV and plugged it in and got the cable working, and we just watched it. It was a huge eye opener.
Yeah, it's one of those events. I was coming into work too. I was a probationary firefighter, Engine 25, and I remember walking in the firehouse. I said, the guys aren't usually awake this early at this firehouse, So I was a little in shock. Maybe they went on a run, and then it was silence in the firehouse and just the TV showing the towers and smoke, and everyone remembers where they were when they heard about it. What about home, SF? Kevin mentioned it, thinking about attacks maybe potentially happening here, Golden Gate Bridge, Transamerica. Any idea of staying home first at all?
I think those conversations may have occurred between ourselves and other members of the department and the management structure of the department. But as it developed through days, it did appear that it was more isolated to New York. And I do remember distinctly that meeting we had at the M&M bar there on 5th and Howard.
M&M, yeah.
And it was almost like we were in the corner. The lighting was dark. We kind of had our hats over our face. Kind of felt like a jailbreak.
Yeah.
Like, we're going. We're going as soon as we can. And, Kevin, it just goes to show you, like in the fire service, you have leaders, you have chiefs, you have lieutenants, captains, all through the ranks. But, he was a firefighter, and he really showed that leadership of like, hey, I'm going to get out there and do the legwork and make this all work. Now, we all realized that we needed officers, because if we were put to work, we had to maintain our management structure of the fire department. So, I have a ton of respect for Vic as an officer, Pat Gardner, and Dan Armenta, who I think were the three officers that, it's a big responsibility. You go back to, it's a lot of unknowns, and they had to keep an eye on all of us, without chiefs managing the incident. So we can talk a little more about it later, but we kind of latched on with the chiefs from New York, which was a fantastic experience. It taught, I think, particularly Vic and I, about how to manage incidents as a chief.
So tell me,
the other thing though about that was, that's why we kind of kept the group small. It was 11 of us that went out there, and we didn't broadcast it. The only people I told were my parents. I wasn't even dating anybody at the time. I just told my mom and dad, hey, I'm going to New York, and I think everything's going to be fine here. But we kept it small and low because we didn't want to affect get too big of a group, and then you affect the manpower here. We didn't have a manpower shortage at the time. We weren't short on people. There weren't a lot of people off. So we didn't feel like it was going to impact the department whatsoever. We used our own time off, our own vacation days, and paid our own way. So.
And how did the department react with you all leaving? Did you have to notify them at all, or did you guys cover with trades? And
it just got out there.
Well, it helped to have somebody at the assignment office. I'll just keep it at that.
Perfect. We'll leave that one alone. Somebody was helping us.
So talk to me about the trip. You guys are on the plane. You got the flight secured. 11 of you all on the flight. You're heading over there. You got a place to stay. Tell me what's going through your minds and what it's like when you step foot in New York and everything building up to
It's a pretty good story we can all tell, yeah.
I think we have to back up to actually our experience at SFO. And maybe some of you can chime in on this, but unbeknownst to us, somebody had notified some folks that we were going.
I think Platt had his wife knew somebody that worked for the airline, something like that.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
So, we all show up at the airport, like Vic said, unaware and knowing of what we're going to see when we got there. Turnouts, dress uniforms, a couple T-shirts, like, let's go. And when we got to the airport, somebody had organized, and this was kind of made us uncomfortable, really, because we weren't trying to draw attention to ourselves. But they had bagpipers playing as we boarded the plane.
Wow.
And, right?
No. So what happened was, yeah. So, sorry.
Go ahead.
So anyway,
good story,
so
right?
when we got on the plane, they shuttled us on the plane, and the word got out on the plane what we were doing. And so the flight attendants were real nice to us with serving us and taking care of us the long flight and everything, you know. And I guess word had traveled probably by the flight attendants all the way up to the pilots of the plane. So unbeknownst to us, there was a bagpiper that was going over there, and he had lost a relative. I don't know if it was an uncle or a brother. So he was going there to play bagpipes, donate his time to all the funerals, because they were going to have funerals but nobody was going to be able to go to. So towards the end of the flight attendants all gave us pillow sacks full of goodies to go with us. And they said, you guys are going to stay on the plane. Don't get off, because you're going to ride with us. We're going to take you in our vans with the pilots and the flight attendants. We'll give you a ride to whatever hotel you're going to stay in. And they were adamant about us staying on the plane. So the whole plane exited. And then we walked out. And, I mean, we didn't deserve this or anything. It was kind of a mixed bag of emotions. But, you know, I got teared up. We walked out, and almost everybody had waited for us as we deboarded the plane. And the bagpiper was playing the bagpipes, and they lined up in a line, and we were just grabbing our bags and kind of had tears in our eyes. We hadn't even done anything yet. We didn't feel like we deserved it.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable.
But it was very uncomfortable, but it was very emotional. It was a very nice gesture that they did, but we definitely didn't do anything to deserve that.
Brings up a good point about this job, protect and serve, you know, the citizens of San Francisco. That's our role. New York City's got the same, you know, maybe a different motto, but it's protect and serve the citizens' property. Every year at this time, I don't know about you guys, but I get kind of uncomfortable. I get emotional sometimes, you know. And so it's been 20 whatever years. It's gotten less and less. It's not throughout the year. I kind of save it for right around 9/11. And I might look at some pictures we have of us there. I might watch, there's a film taken by some French brothers that were on the scene the day it happened, and we actually met them and stayed at the firehouse they were staying at. I have that video. I have the concert for New York that happened, the fundraiser after. And today on the way in, I go, I got to just get back there somehow. And C-SPAN has, the day after, 6 a.m., they started taking phone calls from people who had been there. Make a long story short, first caller on this thing today was 2 blocks away when the towers hit. Very emotional when he's relating the story. He tells the host that he walked over there. He had been a paramedic, and he offered his services, and he says, he went to this building, tried to help. People were jumping out of windows. He saw body parts coming in, glass and debris still falling. And the way he helped people was he organized them in groups of 15 or 20, and they would check for anything falling and send them out. He does this for about 20 groups of people. I'm not going to tell the whole story. Buildings are coming down. The cop there says, you know, the paramedics are meeting 2 blocks away. Why don't you go there? He goes, yeah, I should probably go there. And what he says is he goes, when that first building started coming down, he goes, he knew the building he was in was going to come down. And he says, no, I'll stay with you. And the cop says, no, you go with the paramedics 2 blocks away. And then he describes how he saw the firemen coming in, and he goes, I knew the towers were coming down at that point. I knew the tower we were in, you know, was coming down. He goes, the cop knew the tower was coming down. He goes, I looked at those guys coming in, groups of 4 or 5 firemen at a time. He goes, they knew the towers were coming down. You know, they're going there to protect and serve. They knew the towers were coming down. So that sacrifice, that dedication, that's always been in my mind, right? From that week that we went, thinking about those guys. And then now as well, and a second story related that coincides with Victor's was a civilian was trying to get out of Manhattan at the end of the middle of this thing, and a boat showed up to take him to Staten Island. Staten Island ferry came across. Everybody was getting on board. She was nervous. These civilians are all in terror, right? I mean, they're not built for this sort of thing. They're not responding. You know, they're just the attacked people. But she says that ferry showed up with the Army and firemen on it. All the guys from Staten Island were coming over, and she says the people just clapped for them as they came off. You know, I teared up listening to this on the way in because that's that was the emotion, that was the feeling I think we all got, right? When we were there, people just respected us, were grateful for us, and encouraged us, you know? And it's a two-way street, I think, with this job, right? People respect us and give us that, but we're here for you, man. I mean, we love it. That's, you know, you pay for this service, and that's what gives us joy, you know? It's not just earning a paycheck, it's protecting people and serving people.
There was lines of people when we walked in. They were giving us some lady made handmade, what do you call them, scarves for us, and giving us handkerchiefs and little kids food. Little kids are giving us these letters. I still have in my scrapbook, giving me these handmade letters. You know, thank you, firemen. And you know, like I said, we didn't feel like we deserved that, and that was had nothing to do with why we went there. But what Kevin's talking about, the camaraderie and the way this country all came together, and like a love bomb went off, man. It was there was no red and blue back then. There was nothing. It was just everybody. That city was just the most loving city I've ever seen. You know, and I'd seen it before when you go there before, and everybody's honking the horns, giving the birds, saying the big F you to everybody, and this time everybody's like letting you in when you're driving, and you know nobody's getting cut off. It was amazing to see the difference in that city.
Yeah, so we take an oath in the department to, what Kevin said, protect and serve the public, and a lot of people don't recognize that. It's something that's already like built into us, especially after years of experience and going on many calls. And we don't look for a pat on the back, so it is a little awkward to feel the thanks, even though this is something that was monumental. It still felt awkward for y'all to see some of that. But I'm sure your pride and you know your internal happiness to be able to help and be there to help the brothers out in New York was something really big. How were you received by firemen in New York?
So we had an interesting experience I'll share is, we knew we had some connections at one station, which was Engine 7, Truck 1. We knew where the World Trade Center was, essentially. You could smell it even in Midtown where we were staying. So when we got there, we just some of our folks talked to some of the FDNY folks, and they said, hey, we need help down at the pit. So we're like, they called it the pit, the pile, different names. We grabbed our turnouts and we're like, all right, let's get down there. No idea how to get there. Just walking around Midtown Manhattan with all of our 11 guys with their turnouts. And literally, this is a little bit embarrassing, but kind of a stretched limo pulled up and said, get in.
Yeah.
And
It gets better.
We're like,
These guys from New York are unbelievable. You know, the driver, he's got the New York accent. They say, you guys need a ride? I'm taking you.
Get in, right? So
no, we'll walk. No, get in.
We
Get
in.
in right now.
He forced us in.
Yeah, we didn't want that.
Like, we can't show up in a limo.
Yeah, it's kind of like your mom dropping you off at school, like drop us off a block away or some kind of thing. But, and then we rolled in this limo. There were 11 of us smashed in with our turnouts. Some of us had our helmets on. And just the closer you got, the smell, and then being able to see it, I mean, it just, like, all right, it's real, when you realize you're going to work down there. And as Vic said, the applause, like rounds of applause from people as we pulled up. We hadn't done anything yet.
Yeah.
Sandwiches, notes, just this amazing feeling of support from people. And, if you're doing this job for the right reason, you don't do it for that. I think all of us agree. But it did feel, after we had actually done something and we received that kind of love, it felt a little better. But at that time, it made us all really uncomfortable. We just wanted to get out and walk the rest of the way and get to work.
He even said, he goes, when you're done, he goes, how long are you going to be here? I go, well, we could be here they might kick us out, be here for an hour. We could be here for 10 hours. We don't know. And he goes, well, you're calling me. Here's my number. I'm like, we're not calling you. He goes, I'm telling you, I drove you down here. I'm taking you back. I go, we're going to be, if we get to work, we're going to be filthy dirty. He goes, I don't care if I have to take a fire hose to the inside of this thing. I'm picking you up. I'm like, oh, man, okay. I didn't want to insult him. So.
Did we get her? I don't think we ever, did we connect with
them?
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the attitude of the people of New York. You got to remember, these people.
They wanted to help, too.
They lived through it, like when you're home, see the towers hit, see the towers fall, it means something 4,000 miles away, 3,000, whatever we are.
We never really sat down and all of us talked about it.
No, I think a lot of people didn't kind of put in their pocket and didn't say anything.
And there's
about
a reason for that. We can get to that later. But
Right.
I think we came back, and because of the way things happened, we just kind of didn't talk about it. So yeah, everybody has their own memories. So like I talked to Cochran last night, and he jogged me a few memories. Talked to you the other day.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we got to make sure our stories are all the same. Like I said,
Well-
we're correcting each other's because, some things really stand out to you and some things don't, and certain things stuck out to me. I wish I remembered more, but it was just, it was sensory overload. I just don't think my mind could process a lot of this that was happening.
For sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like going to a fire and we can all be on the same rig and we each see our own little fragments of things that stick out or
Very
red
true.
flags that pop out to us.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts when you're in that limo and you're heading down to the site? What are we thinking? Ideas?
I don't think we still knew if we were going to get in because, they had secured the area. And so when we got out, we're like more or less, well, let's get down there. And of course, obviously, we really wanted to see it, and there isn't any pictures that I've ever gotten that ever describe the whole thing. I think when you have all your six senses and you're in there and you see it, for yourself, it's a whole different story. But we went walking down, I don't know what avenue it was. Maybe you remember. But we went walking down, and then we ended up, one of the guys, Chief Cochran, knew somebody on one of the USAR teams, and he was the guy that ended up taking that picture of us. So he ended up getting us in, got us in on the roster, got us through security, gave us, we had some security tags around our neck, and then we got as close as we could, and we ran into a chief that was there. And he goes, "Where are you guys from?" He was a battalion chief. He said, "San Francisco, we're just here to help, anything you need." He goes, "Give me your officers." So it was me, Gardner, and Danny Armenta. So he pulled us aside, and I wish I could tell you exactly what he said because I just felt like I got a new Rockney speech, man. I turned around, my eyes were this big, and he's saying, don't step in a puddle. It might go down 2 stories. Don't worry about fingers and arms and body parts. He goes, we're looking for elevator shafts. We're looking for stairwells, and we're looking for fireman's tools, Halligans, and Scott air packs and then bottles. And he says, don't do anything. Just contact us. So that was kind of our mission. Turned around and told these guys. And like I said, we didn't have any tools. We all had flashlights, but we didn't have any, we didn't bring walkie-talkies to talk to each other or anything like that. We had no other safety equipment except for what we were wearing. We had gloves and a flashlight, no ropes. So we split into groups and started climbing in this area he sent us. And I just remember my group was Cochran and Danny Armenta, and the 3 of us, you'd see these holes that went in the ground. The one thing is, you think about the danger of like secondary collapse or something like that. I don't think, did you guys ever feel unsafe? This thing came down like a iron bird nest, just solidified and welded. Like, nothing ever really moved. Everything was just solid as anything. And I just remember sliding down these I-beams that were still hot, hotter than hell. And we're sliding down, I'm going down 2 floors under the ground. Way down there, just looking for things. And then we did come across some, looked like stairwell, market, or an elevator shaft or a car. And then we'd go up and get a New York guy, go, hey, right down there. And we'd leave a guy down there and right here. And then we'd get up and move on. So I don't know if they ever found anybody in those areas or not.
Yeah.
But so.
Yeah. One thing that was very clear to us and made clear by this battalion chief, the officers were up front, but the firefighters were in the back listening to this chief speak. And, he told us, if you find somebody, we bring them out. New York Fire brings them out. So every once in a while, as we were going through this process, everybody would stop, and FDNY guys would go grab somebody and pull them out and go through their traditions. And it was, it made it so incredibly emotional for us. But I can share one story that I think is pretty interesting. One of the days I ended up with Dan Armenta, who's passed away from job-related cancer. His son is in the department, fantastic firefighter, 3 engine. And Dan was just an outstanding individual and a great officer. And he and I kind of got separated from the group. We had been working for about 15, 18 hours, and we were just wiped out. So we're looking at this building, corner, like 7, 8 story building. Looked like the hand of God had ripped like half of the center of the building off from part of the World Trade Center falling on it. And there were 2 chairs, and we were tired. And Dan says, "Hey, let's go sit down." So we went there and sat. We're sitting there for a few minutes, and there's like a big screen. It looked like an electrocardiogram. You know, it had like lines on it. You know,
Graph chart.
yeah, like that. And we're sitting there looking at this thing. I wonder what that is. This guy runs over and goes, "The hell are you guys doing?" We said, "Taking a break." He goes, "You see that right now? That means this building's about to come down." So that was notice of the vibration of the building. And the thing was going like this. And Dan Armenta looks at me and goes, "I don't care. I'm too tired." But literally, he was joking. We got up and the building actually collapsed. We were like right under. It was really crazy to see it. We didn't actually see it collapse, but it did come down. And, thank God for us paying attention to this person saying that to us, or who knows what happened. But yeah, that was very poignant.
You got to remember, to the point, buildings are hit on Tuesday. We get down there Friday. How long were we there for?
First night, I have no idea.
5 days maybe. We worked a lot of times at night, so I remember it.
Yeah. 5 days working, doing search, and then we pulled off, and they asked us to. You can tell that story too about going to the funeral for the captain of the squad.
But
yeah, they didn't have anybody to staff the funerals because the members were either working the pit or deceased. But they didn't have enough people for honor guards for the members that they were having these funerals. Right. So they asked us to stand as the honor guard, which is like the honor of a life, the captain of the rescue squad at St. Patrick's Church, FDNY. And here's these San Francisco firefighters doing our best to honor this gentleman as an honor guard.
And they were happy to have us. They
were.
Had
they
to have
100%.
some uniform personnel there.
Yeah, incredibly happy to have us. They asked us to do it, but it was still.
I think that was perfect timing too, because I think after the 5 days, so we kept going back to Truck 1, Engine 7, leaving our stuff there. We'd hang out in the basement with the guys, and that's is another good story. We helped them out that way too with the camaraderie and taking them out afterwards. The guys that needed a little decompression, to say, in a way. But I just felt like the guys started feeling like, well, why can't we get there? Their staff in the firehouses, they wanted to go search for their friends and their brothers, literally. So I think the timing was perfect where I didn't want, to be uncomfortable. Like, wait a minute, there needs to be people at these funerals. So it worked out well. I think the 5-day working limit was just about right. And then we just started going to funerals all over New York.
What I wanted to say about the atmosphere of the city, right? We'd been in New York, biggest city in the world, 30-story buildings for as long as you could see. Nothing like San Francisco. And the eeriness of the city. People weren't on the streets. Buses weren't running. The subway wasn't running. People weren't out, Then there's debris, the dust and debris had flown several blocks away from where the buildings come down. There's notes pinned on the sides of walls. You guys might remember this better than I do. I think we got some photos, but there's 3,000 people dead, And I want to make this point, people in Staten Island saw them come down. People uptown saw them come down. Midtown. Right. That's a city of, 5 million people every day. A lot of people saw this. They were completely traumatized. If they didn't, or if they weren't affected that morning, they knew someone that worked either in those 2 towers housed a lot of people. So a lot of people did get out. So that's the atmosphere of the city. Then watching on TV, I think, Victor, you kind of touched on this. You couldn't tell from here what it's going to be like. I've been to fires, I've never been to a building collapse. I've never been to a 100-story building collapse. I've never been to 200-story building collapses. It was unbelievable, man. I mean, it was 4, 6, 8 stories high of debris, the pile, they call it. I mean, when the limo guy drops us off, there's barricades, there's cops, there's army, this is a scene out of a movie out of a horror story. So you got to walk 4 or 5 blocks just to get to the perimeter of this thing. The whole perimeter is locked down. That dust that you saw when the towers came down, it's on all the buildings, broken windows everywhere, burned out cars, cut in half rigs, FDNY trucks cut in half sitting there Mill Street. It was like overwhelming, hard to fathom. hey man, we're here to help. We're together. It was good to have a group, right? It was good to have 11 guys that you knew that you worked with. And like, hey man, all workers, right? All ready to
solid
go.
firefighters.
Good leadership, like you said. It was important to have those bosses with us. But we get down there and it's just they got the floodlights are lighting it up at night. The thing is still burning underground. It's smoking. I mean, you've been to maybe a trash fire out in 9 truck or something. I mean, that's what it's like, but it's on a scale you can't imagine, man. If you go there now, I don't know what it is. It would be 10 city blocks in San Francisco. It was an enormous pile of smoke and debris. Okay, man, let's go. Maybe we'll get 11 of us and we'll lift an I-beam. Nah, that wasn't happening, man. Like it was gray matter. It was glass and cement and steel, heat welded together, and just a giant 4-block ball, paper, little pieces of paper. If you saw the arm of a chair, if you saw 6 inches of the arm of a chair, oh shit, man, there's something recognizable.
It's the biggest thing you'd see.
It was unbelievable, man.
To be honest with you, I didn't really even see any of that. I mean, to me, I described it as like jute, like, the stuffing on an old car seat, inside.
Yeah.
It was just pulverized. And you're thinking about how many desks and chairs and telephones are in that building that came down. I never saw a phone or a desk or a chair. I just saw this pulp.
And they handed us
this horrible pulp.
They gave us 5-gallon bucket, man. Here. Put the debris in there. You couldn't even scratch it off. I mean, you had to work at it to scratch it, fill up your bucket, man, move things around. Yeah. And that was hard. Victor pointed out, there were void spaces. So a lot of guys would go down. I mean, I think I agree with you that, we weren't really worried about it collapsing anymore because it had impounded, but
welded.
Like Dean says, there was 4-story sections, 8-story sections that hadn't collapsed, and apparently those came down. But just going down into a hot thing like that you don't know what you're going to find, it was grim, That's a word I could use. It was grim scene. The guys on the scene, the New York guys weren't talking. Nobody was really talking, just digging. These guys had lost their brothers, their fathers, their sons, They had lost people they knew. 343 guys, man. That's how many people are working today? 220 in the city?
313.
313, yeah. I mean, that's everybody in the city getting wiped out one time. They're gone, man, and they're not, they're not hoping to find the body and drag it out. They're looking for a piece, man. They're looking for an ear, some DNA. I mean, it was tragic, hard to fathom, hard work, but couldn't have gone with a better group of people, and honored to have the experience, to just have been there to support those guys, to do what we could, man.
Yeah, and those the group of individuals you all went with, you all knew each other very well. You all worked together for a long time, so you felt that, like what you said, Kevin, the connection, that you've been on runs together. You knew you were tight. This is backpedal a little bit in your careers. Start with you, Chief. How long were you in the department at the time? And you mentioned ranks a little bit. Give us a breakdown.
I was an H2 firefighter at the time. Came in 90. It was 2001, so I had 11 years. I had made Engine 2 as a firefighter with about 3-4 years in because they were being relocated temporarily to Station 13. And then I ended up back at Station 2 when they reopened in 94. And then I made my dream house 3-truck. And I was a firefighter at 3-truck for the remainder of the time until I promoted with 18 years in. So I was right in the comfortable place of my career at Truck 3, but I had some unassigned time at Station 1, unassigned time at Rescue 2 is where I kind of developed an affinity for the heavy rescue elements of the job.
Squad work.
And then always when you're at Station 1, everybody's involved in the rescue squad. Whether you're on it or off it, you're always kind of talking about it, and everybody's a little bit more elevated on that side of the fire service.
Right. How about you, Chief?
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time at 1. I was able to come back after probation and was on the squad because I had all those classes before I even came in the department, so I got lucky. And then I ended up making Rescue 2 for a year. That was when they shut down 38 and they moved to 7, so it was a big exodus, and I had everything. So I got lucky. I made that. I was there for a year, but I didn't like Chiefs. I didn't want to work at a Chiefs house. I didn't know I was going to become one.
You became one, yeah.
Just kidding.
About that.
No, I just said that I was able to make 3-engine. So I went down to 3-engine for like 6 years. And then in 99, I got promoted. And then I was on a 7-7, 11, 36, 21 swing, happy. And then they called me up. The chief called me up, says, you got to go to assignment office for a year and a half. So I was in assignment office at the time.
Okay, and how many years of service did you have?
I had 12.
12 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Vic and I were 3 together for a great time in our career.
How many classes apart were you guys coming in?
3. He's 76, I'm 79.
Yeah.
So he was always like one step ahead of me. I was following him around the fire department.
I was a
He was at
battalion
3.
two.
I went
he
to
made
3.
a battalion 2. I went to
He was
headquarters.
at 1.
and
I went to 1. He went to 36. I followed him over there. He went downtown. I went down there.
Always in the shadows. Huh?
No,
That's all right.
Get away from this guy.
Pass
You
me
like
up.
the guy. How about you? How many years of service did you have 9/11?
So I got hired, coincidentally, my hire date is 9/11/95. So that day was
forget
6
it.
years. Yeah. And so I'm printing on my ID, which is a good remembrance. So I had 6 years. I had my probe year. I might have misspoke earlier. I had a year at 19, and then I made 1 engine. And so 3 years at 1, and then they took me down for radio. But I knew this guy. I've known this guy 30 years because he's the same year graduating high school, San Francisco, lived in the Sunset. 1987, I went to Sacred Heart. He went to another school in the city. And,
Better school.
and so I've known this guy from hanging around the neighborhood, man, the first parking lot, the Bowling Greens, West Sunset.
Might have had a few arguments with each other.
Yeah, he hung out with a group of guys, good guys.
I got
man.
your back. I'm an SH alumni.
Oh, there you go, man.
Don't
Yeah,
worry,
so-
I got your back.
So I've known this guy, man. And I knew he got in the fire department. In fact, I saw him a couple years, when he had a couple years in, we were on a vacation, running around Mexico. I ran into him. And so I knew him. And then I knew a couple guys from the neighborhood when I got to 1. But, once you work there, man, 30 runs a day, guys treated you great, man. Like I got down there, I'll never forget, at the time, Brad Ray was working wherever he was. And I remember him, his father was in the hospital same day as my aunt, and I ran into him. This is a guy with like 24 years. I had 2-3 years in the department. He goes, "Hey, man, you work at 1, huh?" I go, yeah, nice to meet you. I'm in awe, right? This guy's a guy with a lot of time. His old man was a fireman. He goes, "Hey, man, that's no bull what you guys do down there, man. You guys, no one can say you're a dog." And then I go, "Hey, thanks, man." He goes, "Yeah, everybody in the department realizes, what you guys are doing down there." I was shocked. I go, "Okay, man." Like I said, I was happy to be there, and to get that education from these guys. These 2 guys, obviously, they got to where they are. They know a lot, man. They knew a lot back then, and so to be, riding their tailcoats. But there was a lot of great guys on that trip. Tommy Ray, Bruce Platt, Mike Cochran, Gardner, Armenta. Who am I missing? Sikora.
Fogarty.
Johnny Sikora was my classmate. Fogarty's this guy's buddy from, him and Dean do a lot of work together. So, tight-knit group, good guys, all with the same mindset, I think, all with the same focus.
Nice.
It's kind of cool. One thing we kind of left out was
Moreno was the other guy.
And Moreno, yeah, sorry. So we get back. Now I'm trying to remember if we did get the limo back or not, but I just remember the New York Athletic Club, the sister club of the Olympic Club, said, "Well, you guys, when you come back, just do us a favor, come up the elevator, the servants' elevator, because we were dirty." Oh, yeah. So we left all our turnouts at the firehouse, which was nice. The guy let us leave it in the drying room down in the basement of the firehouse, and then we put on our clothes, but we're still just covered in just crap, totally covered. So we came up the servants' entrance, and we go into our room, and unbeknownst to us, because Dean had said, "Hey, it's like $420 a night, man." He's like, "But let's just
6
check
to
in."
a room.
Yeah, just check in, and then we'll figure it out later. We'll get a room tomorrow. Go to some Motel 6 somewhere, some dive place. Unbeknownst to us, we opened the door, and then they put us 2 to a room, and on the bed was a card and a note written from the president and the vice president, and all the swag, hat, Olympic, New York Athletic hats, tank tops, shorts, and they said, "You guys can stay as long as you want. It's on us."
Wow.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I just want to touch back, Kevin. You mentioned you were at Engine 1 during that era where Engine 1 was the busiest engine company in the nation at the time, Firehouse Run Survey, and now it's Engine 3. So just to give the baseline for the listeners and viewers that some of the busiest engine companies for San Francisco. And I know we can go on for a lot longer just talking about it, and it's obviously very eye-opening for someone who didn't go. Even going to the museum, I'm sure you guys have been to the 9/11 Museum in New York, and just seeing some of the things that you guys are describing is big. But I want to wrap it up. We're running short on time. And, Chief, as mentioned earlier, it's coming up on 24-year anniversary of the events that occurred 9/11. I believe you're the only one in the group who's still working. And now that you're the fire chief, you've seen a lot, been to a lot, and managed a lot. Where do you see the SFFD heading over the next few years, and what words of wisdom do you have for our members?
So I can share what I learned, and I think we will all agree. We are a city vulnerable to earthquakes, and although that type of incident is somewhat different than 9/11, disaster preparedness is so important. It's at the core of everything we do in this department. The department's changed in a lot of ways. When we got in, I'll guarantee each one of us has a burn on our neck, burn on our wrist, and a burn in our neck, and on the back of our neck and our ears. The equipment's gotten a lot better. But the disaster preparedness piece and the increased call volume, as well as the different variety of calls. We have behaviors changed so much in this city, in the Bay Area, and the country after the pandemic. People are doing more things outside. So a lot of the specialized rescue type operations are really critically important. And it really put a punctuation mark on, for me, thinking about 9/11, how we really have to be ready for a disaster at any time. And watching the way that FDNY performed and responded, and the way that they maintain their management structure, their accountability of their members, their traditions, their pride in their department. I'll never forget that. And I think Vic said it best when he talked about the Newt Rockney speech that chief gave, and we learned later that he had lost some family members in the collapse of the towers. But he was able to pull it together and direct the men on exactly what he wanted them to do and what the hazards were. And, that's what you really have to do in this job. I'd kind of describe it like a baseball game sometimes. One day you go for 4. The next day you got to come back and you expect to get a hit. So you have to be able to have these things, although that's the extreme, negative things happen to you, and be able to recover. And you have to find ways individually to help yourself recover, whether it's seeking help from others, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's listening to music, whether it's going for a walk. I really want our members to know that, one, we have support available for you if you need it, but you really have to find and build relationships in this department of the friends like we had. And, everybody handles it a little bit differently. Some of us may go and have a drink or two and chat it up. That's one way of relieving stress, as long as it's not harmful and damaging. Maybe that's something that you do. But I think all of our members should know that we're all part of a team. We have the greater department to lean on, but develop that core group of friends that can really get you through the hard times. And that's these guys.
Well, Chief, thank you for those words. And Vic, thank you. Kevin, thank you for coming. Appreciate you all for being here and sharing your personal stories. It's nice to hear that even you hadn't sat down yet and spoken about this before, which is nice. So I want to thank you for that. And that'll end our inaugural episode. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.